Berlin, Berlin, du bist ein heißes Pflaster. Wer dich nicht kennt, verbrüht sich leicht den Fuß. Wo die Moral wohnt, wohnt auch gleich das Laster. Und der Verriss blüht neben süßen Schmus. Das ist Berlin, wie es weint und wie es lacht.
Bin ein Berliner.
Hi, welcome. I'm here at the Stage Factory and meeting my guest. And my guest for My Berlin is Gayle Tufts. She is an American entertainer whose permanent stay is Berlin. She's an author, singer, and performer and belongs on stage. Her goals are intelligent entertaining and shows who are bigger than life. I am so excited of meeting this talented woman. Now I'm here with my guest, the most amazing. She's an author, she's a singer, she's a writer, she's a dancer, she's a TV, she's a radio star, she's a musical star, the wonderful Gayle Tufts.
Hello.
Thank you that we can be your guest.
Yeah.
We're here.
Yes.
And let me start by a quote from a famous, the biggest German magazine quoted you as the famous American living in Germany.
Yes.
How was
Spiegel.
it?
That was very nice to get that back then. I don't, I mean, it's all a little relative, but I hope that that's true. I hope, I like to kind of represent, a positive view of America and as somebody who is living between the two worlds. I feel like that's my job, to kind of present a positive spin to both sides, to present a positive side of Americans to the Germans and to present a modern version of Germany to the Americans, which is also very important.
Yes. Now let's go back a little bit, way back. You were born in Massachusetts.
Yes, Brockton, Massachusetts, a very small town outside of Boston, kind of a working class factory town. My mother worked in a supermarket. My father was a bartender. He come from a very, very normal family. And southeastern New England.
Do they still live there, your parents?
My parents have both passed away.
Okay.
And my brother still lives there. He's a bartender in the same place where I grew up, on Cape Cod. And my sister just moved to New Orleans.
Okay.
So they're still there, but I'm the only one that kind of went all the way to Europe.
So now you finished school in Massachusetts.
Yeah.
And then you decided to go to stage school, or when did you discover that you had a talent, you want to be an entertainer, or did your parents discover that girl needs to be on stage? Who discovered?
Actually, my cousin did. She had a dancing school, and when I was 4 years old, I was in her dancing school recital. I was a rabbit, and I discovered for the first time in my life a microphone. And I had a microphone in my hand, and they could not take the microphone out of my hand. Literally, I just talked about everything. I thought that was great. I loved it, and I'm an American kid. I grew up watching in the 60s, the Ed Sullivan Show, and watching people like Barbra Streisand, Liza Minnelli, Shirley MacLaine, Judy Garland. There were just these incredible women, Diana Ross and the Supremes, and then it just went on and on and on, and I was really bitten by the showbiz bug at a very, very early age. My parents had nothing to do with it. They were very happy that I was happy. And then I was lucky enough in school at the time, I think so much depends on having good teachers. And I was really lucky. Brockton High was huge. Brockton High School, my high school, 4,000 students. In a school, 4,000, which is huge. My class alone was 1,200 students. And so in a giant high school with no windows that opened. It was all air conditioning. Crazy. But at that time, it was in the 70s, we had an incredible drama department. It was well known for football and basketball, but we also had a great drama department. And a woman named Carol Thomas, I will be grateful to her till the day I die. She recognized that there was some kind of talent there, and she was very disciplined. So we had to be very good with our academics, and then we could do drama club. And with her help and with help from a couple of other teachers, I got a full scholarship to New York University. And at NYU, you could do you did a double major, academics and acting. So I did acting and what they call in Germany Theaterwissenschaft, theater sciences. So it was kind of theory and practice. And I was very, very lucky also there to be in a program called the Experimental Theater Wing in the 80s. It was kind of I was very, very lucky to be in the right place at the right time. So New York in the late 70s, early to 90, and then Berlin, I started coming to Berlin in 85, and then moving here right after the wall came down. I was very, very lucky.
And we have a nice picture with you at Checkpoint Charlie, right?
Yeah. Nice. Although that was then kind of staged years later. I never had hair like that. I had kind of a wig, big wig. But that was really, it's very difficult to describe to Americans who come to Germany now, people that are just off the boat, so to speak, what it was like in Berlin when the wall was there. It was a completely different world. And there was no internet, and there were hardly any newspapers, and there was, you were kind of, I had no language, so when you didn't have the language, you were really adrift, which partially is fantastic, because I had come from New York where I was like, be funny, be witty, la 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 la, be intellectual. And it makes small talk, and all of a sudden that's taken away from you. And it can be very lonely, and so which is why I really, really recommend to anybody, learn German before you come here, or at least while you're here. But it was very fascinating for the first months, because you kind of are really down to the essence of who you are, and you get to really observe. So as a writer and as a comedian, of course, it was for me really interesting to watch people. Without having any idea what they were talking about. I thought all Germans were incredibly intellectual. And incredibly, they were also, well, nothing against you, but then I realized the things that they were talking about, I realized were actually, now when I look back, very mundane and very like anybody else.
It just sounded in your ears very. That's funny.
It was really so they would be saying things like, Kant and Hegel and first, and then I realized they were talking about the Kegelbahn on the Kantstraße near the Schaubühne. It was nothing more than that, But it was really true, and they were great. It was a great, somewhat frightening time as well, because you really thought at that time it was the Cold War, and there was an atmosphere in Berlin. It was really dancing on the volcano. You really thought, well, if they drop the bomb, they're going to drop it here first. So let's dance, or so let's do what we can. And Berlin at that time was a real misfit city. I wrote a song about it called Stadt der schwarzen Schafe, which translates to Black Sheep Town. It was really, for me, like a little bit the island of misfit toys. People were avoiding the draft. German people who didn't want to go into the army were here. They came to Berlin because they didn't have to. If they came to Berlin, it was like going to Canada from the States during the Vietnam War. You didn't have to do. You couldn't be drafted. You didn't have to serve. In that way, you could work as somebody helping old people, or helping out on the emergency medical services, something like that. And artists, because there was a lot of money for the arts in Berlin at the time, because we forget Berlin is here now. At that time, Berlin was like, we always called it Poland East, because you were in the middle of the East sector. There was Germany, and there was West Germany, and here was the East, and Berlin was in the middle of the East. So if you wanted to go to Hanover, which was in the West, which now it takes an hour and a half to drive. It took over 3 hours. You had to drive really, really slowly. You could not get out of your car. It was just, or people see the wall, they go to the Mauerpark now and they see the wall and there's one wall. There wasn't one wall, there were two walls with a no man's land in between. And the reason it was no man's land was because if you were there, you would be shot from machine guns from one side or the other. It was a frightening, not funny, but strangely everyday life. And it stunk. Berlin stunk. No one talks about that now. The air quality was horrible, because in the East, the Trabis that they all do the little tours now with the Trabis. It's so funny. It's so Easty. They stunk. There were no filters. It was absolutely, the smog was horrendous. little bit like Beijing now.
Even though there's a song which calls Das ist die Berliner Luft.
Well, that was in the 20s. It might have been better then. In the 80s, it was a whole different kettle of fish, and it stunk.
You performed in every places, in Tippi, in Bellevue, you've been performing, in Friedrichstadtpalast, everywhere in the city.
Yeah, I'm trying to, what do I still have to do? Staatsoper, the O2 World.
Mercedes-Benz Arena.
Yeah, sorry, the Mercedes. I still call Theater am Hallischen Ufer, so there you go. There are a couple places I haven't played yet, but the Deutsche Oper, no, I did the Deutsche Oper. Staatsoper I haven't done yet, and the Mercedes-Benz Arena. But, there's great places to play here, and I've been very, very lucky to be able to jump between different worlds. I like that very much.
Even though we do the interview in English, you speak almost now perfect German.
Well, perfect is relative. Let's thank you very much for that. My husband would not agree with you with the perfect, and most German people, anybody in television. Yeah. It's always, can you speak slower? Can you speak more?
We're here in the Stage Factory.
Yes.
There you're a patron of the Stage Factory.
Yes.
And you're going to show me where we are here.
Yes, because it's very important. As I said, for me, education is really important. That's how I got my start. Yes. And this is a place where young people, professionals and young people come together and keep the tradition going on.
Let's go in one room and you tell me more about it.
Sure, I'd love to.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So now we're in the middle of the Stage Factory Heart.
Yes.
Where you are the patron with 3 other patronites?
Yeah, we're performers. There are 3 professionals. There are a lot of, the whole Stage Factory is where a lot of professionals work with young students as teachers, as mentors, and I'm together with 3 other professionals. We're the patrons of it. We do, come and do whatever we can. We're always at the concerts at the end of the year. There's wonderful, over 200 students that work here, and they learn everything: dancing, singing, acting, and they're terrific. And I really love it here. I love the atmosphere here. I also create all of my shows here, and it's just wonderful because it's, beautiful. There's lots of sunlight and lots of great music is made here. We've written a lot of songs here.
And you do also beautiful work. You're not even the most famous American in Germany. You seem to be the busiest famous American in Germany.
Well, so you do what you have to do, and part of that is, of course, charity work that I do.
Exactly. What is it?
I work for, there's so much, the world needs so much, but I've concentrated on 3 things that I work a lot for. One is called Hunde for Handicaps, which is training assistance dogs. Service dogs for people who are differently abled or who are in wheelchairs.
Or blind. Or
but especially for people who are wheelchair bound. That's something that in the States is kind of very normal, but here it's always a big fight with the people, with the insurance people. They say, well, if you have a wheelchair, then you don't need any other help. But it's very, very important just in terms of having companionship, getting out. You have to go outside with the dog every day. And there are wonderful dogs who get trained to do everything for you. They can take your keys, they can press a panic button if you've fallen down, if you need a doctor, they can take bring your newspaper to you, bring your shopping to you, help you. It's amazing, amazing work. So I support that. I also support Kinderleben. That's the group that supports families who are dealing with pediatric cancer through the Charité hospital here. And it supports not only the children and their families, which you can't forget when a child is stricken with cancer, the entire family is hurting, and also supports research into pediatric cancer. I help them out every year. And the AIDS-Hilfe here, the organization that's helping people living with AIDS.
Now I'm going to take you for a ride to another place, namely to the Schlosspark Theater. You're going to drive with me, and then you can tell me about this new project.
Yeah. All right, great, terrific.
And let's drive.
Let's go.
Thank you.
Fun, fun, fun. Oh, I have to say, fun, fun, fun. Do you know the song from Kraftwerk, Autobahn? It's one of the first German things I ever learned.
Let's sing it in the song, in the car.
Okay, good. I'll explain it to you in the car.
We sing it in
All
the
right,
car.
good.
Thank you.
Let's go.
Das ist Berlin,
Bin ein Berliner.
wie es weint und wie es lacht.